most people have a very limited view, an incorrect view, I would say, about what a marketing plan is. Like, because they think it's like, okay, it's just like a bunch of campaigns you put together and, and a calendar like of campaigns and a budget or something. And that's like task level thinking. Okay. So as an entrepreneur business owner, you've got to think about what you really want to do is increase the revenue and profitability of your business, which therefore increases enterprise value. And there's three sort of main functions that you need to think about when you're doing this. And if you don't think of all three, you're going to suppress your results. You're going to work harder than you have to. You're going to miss opportunities. All right. Now, we put those three categories into this acronym we call ACE, and it stands for Attract, Convert, and Expand. And this really is what is our unique approach to marketing, right? And I'll explain it a little bit more. The A in Attract is about lead generation. You got to have opportunities going to come in. You got to have leads coming in. That is the lifeblood of the sales department that brings in new customers. So you definitely have to have that attraction piece. Then you have to have systems and processes to convert those leads when they come in. How do you qualify them? How do you capture them? How do you track them? How do you follow up? How do you convert them? That's your sales process. That's your CRM. That's how list building is done. That's how your sales pipeline is built. You have to have systems like a CRM, and we'll talk about this, but you need systems and processes to be able to convert those opportunities that are coming in. And then you need to expand the customer once you get them, meaning in their value, in their spend, in their profitability, in a number of different ways, right? Now, the reason you want to think about all three is because if you need to grow sales 30% or 20% or whatever, if you just try to do lead generation to do that, it's almost going to be an impossible task. And you're going to work way harder than you need to because there's an easier way to do it. And the best way to explain this to you is to show you kind of like a high level, very simplified math framework. So if we say, for example, we're going to try and expand the number of leads, we're going to improve the conversion and productivity of those leads, and we're going to make every client more valuable. But we're not going to go crazy and try and get a 20, 30, double it. Like marketers love to say, we're going to double your leads, right? They love to say that, right? Because it sounds exciting. And most people who don't know marketing think that sounds like a great idea. Man, double my leads. Who wouldn't want that, right? But the reality is doubling your leads sometimes there's an increase in complexity and spend. So it's not just like, hey, there's this magic wand you wave over your business and you double your leads, right? There's going to be some work to it. So I like to be a little more conservative. Let's say we don't double your leads. Let's say we only increase it by 10%. So right now you're probably getting some leads. Maybe the only way you're getting them is referrals, whatever that is, or maybe you're doing a little bit of digital marketing. Maybe you're going to networking events or trade shows or whatever. I don't know. And let's say you're getting roughly about 3 gross, what we call raw leads a month. And we don't try to radically double that. What we do is we say, let's see if we can just get a 10% increase in that. Spend a little more money, tighten a few screws. And now instead of getting 36 leads a year, we're getting 40. But we don't stop there. Then we say, okay, maybe you're closing 33% of the customers that you get in front of, or the leads that you get in front of. Some of them obviously aren't going to be qualified. If you're only getting referrals, your close rate probably looks higher because referrals are like the lowest of lowest, low-hanging fruit. And so you don't get a trophy for closing a referral. You should be closing like 80, 90% of those. Or, last I looked at last quarter, we had 100% close rate on referrals. So, you don't get but that's not our close rate. So we'll say, let's say you're getting about a 33% close rate on the leads that you're getting, but we don't try to radically transform that. We just bump it by 10%. So now we're closing 43%. And then the expand part, instead of, the average client, I'm just speculating here, instead of being $1,000 a month MRR, we raise prices, we add value, we target better, we have a better sales process, and we can bump the opportunity up to $1,100 per month. That's a 10% increase. Now, you would think if you did 10, 10, and 10, you'd get a 10% increase, but it doesn't work that way. You actually get a 56% gain. And that's because you're generating more leads and you're converting more and they're getting to spend more money. Now you've got an exponential increase where, normally in a year, if you were doing 3 leads, 1 client a month and $1,000, that client was worth $1,000, you're growing at 144,000 in ARR, where, if we do this 10%, Now we are nearly doubling that. So you can see the power of this. And this is something most people don't understand.